one of our esteemed non-male presenters, Lise-Lotte Norelius. It's really wonderful to have her here because she has been a mainstay of the Stockholm experimental and electroacoustic music scene for quite some time. Her background is in percussion. She studied here, it was here, yes, at the Royal College of Music in Stockholm between 1998 and 2002. She is a composer and a performer of electroacoustic music, live electronics, and percussion. She has worked extensively both solo and in collaboration with musicians, dancers, and intermediate artists. And one of her most interesting collaborations that I've been aware of for a long time is a project called Sinchutan, which is an ensemble of female composers, musicians, and instrument builders. This was founded by Norelius together with Ida Lundén and Ann Rosen in 2009. She has also served as the chairperson of the Fylkingen Artists Association, which I think is a very good introduction for people who have come from outside of Sweden to a particular aspect of our sound and intermedia world here. Fylkingen is one of the oldest artist associations in Sweden and the only one dedicated to intermedia. And one final note, in some of the programs you have looked at, it says that Lise-Lotte will be performing a piece after this talk, but that's not true. Actually, you performed the piece already yesterday. So I would like to turn the mic over to you, and we look forward to hearing what you have to share with us. Let's give her a round of applause, please.
Thank you, Derek. Now you already heard what I'm going to say. That was almost half of the talk. But you will hear it once again. I'm honored to be invited here. I'm really surprised to be invited here because it was a long time since I studied here, and I have not been in the research fields or anything like that. But it's also, I thought it was really funny to be able to present my kind of like a bit geeky work for you. It's a lot of homemade stuff, and it's a lot of do-it-yourself. And just briefly, as Derek said, I haven't been playing electronic music for a very long time. Yeah, it's like 20 to 25 years. Before that, I was a drummer, and before that, I was a violin player, and so I shifted several times. And I only played acoustic music until '86 when I bought my first sampler and octapads, and then I started to form my own drum kit with sample sounds and the drums. I have some pictures here. This is '84. I was playing funeral music from Africa, from Ghana, in a band, and here is an example of the group I played with for many years, Anita Slips, which were a trio with only percussion and voice. So I started with samples quite early, and I still use samples, actually. So there are some connections to the music I do today. And about 25 years ago, I became a member of Fylkingen. And it was a very creative time, first decade in 2000, from 2000 to 2010. I met a lot of new friends at KMH and also at Fylkingen, and a lot of new collaborations started, a lot of experimental stuff. And at Fylkingen, we also had a course in how to solder a piezo microphone, which everybody did at that time. And it opened up a new world for me to, we attached piezo mics to everything and processed it with different, with Max MSP. I started to learn Max MSP at KMH, and also effect boxes and stuff. I use piezo mics a lot still in my instrument setups, And you will see some setups later on. And I also became interested in the choreography of sound. My first experience of working with multi-channel sound and spatialization was in a project called The Acoustic Room at University of Arts, Crafts and Design in Stockholm, 96. I collaborated with an artist, Bengt Carling, who had borrowed 4 wireless speakers, and we called the work a ballet for 4 wired and 4 movable speakers. But then the 4 people were carrying these speakers around, and it was a new experience, and I got a sense of how to move sounds in a room. Almost 20 years later, I was again able to work in a new way with the specialization. I was teaching at EMS at that time, and all the teachers were offered a residency at ZKM in Karlsruhe with a purpose to learn zirconium and compose a new piece for the Klangdom. I brought my favorite instrument, which I will show you later, an Arduino and some sensors. And during my residency there, I felt that I was finally possible to do what I only imagined earlier was possible by choreographing the sound, by drawing the movements. So it was a big thing for me. And this is also the piece I played yesterday, You Are the Flower. And I made it a little bit complicated for myself with, I wanted to try a DIY panning way. So I had some sensors and the Arduino, and I recorded very quick movements, which was not possible to do in zirconium. This was zirconium 2 at that time. And then you can get really quick you know, back in really quick and unstable movements. And this data I had to send from Max. So, and that led to that I couldn't use zirconium for putting the files in zirconium. So I needed 4 programs to play this piece. The spatialization server and the trajectory program and Logic to play the files, and then the extra panning from Max. So this is, it's quite hard to play this piece today in this way. They actually contacted me last summer from ZKM and wondered, they didn't understand my notes, they didn't understand my instructions I left them back then. But I think they had a 43 channel recording from when I played the piece there. So I think they actually played it. And yesterday I played this piece here at KMH. I've been waiting 9 years to do this here. So it was really nice to hear it in this very nice speaker setup. And that was a 20-channel version that was bounced for the Beast speaker setup in Birmingham. But I can play this myself on my old computer, so it's possible still. I've been looking on this Zirconium 3, but they are not compatible yet. So I still have to save this Zirconium 2 version. Well, do it yourself. I will show you some instruments and some works and some projects which I've been working with. And also I want to to especially mention this book, Handmade Electronic Music by Nicholas Collins. It has meant a lot to me. And I recommend it to everyone. It's an easy way to start doing DIY. Maybe you all know this already, but there is a lot of very clear instructions. I've used it a lot in my attempts to build instruments. This is some of my synth jewelry has been kind of a theme in my practice. And this brown bracelet here, you can actually hear in the piece, you are the flower. It's starting the whole piece. We can listen if I know there. It starts with this sound. It's just a 1493 chip, and it just, you see these coins. It's mostly noise, and you can get some, if you squeeze them, you get other sounds. And we have, this is built on Nick Collins' Low Rider, it's called in his book. It's actually a chip divider, and I've modified it a bit and use it as a feedback instrument. And then I use voltage. This is voltage starvation, and you can use your fingers or other resistive materials. So this is really my favorite instrument. It can sound like this. This is actually also used in the piece from yesterday's concert. I don't know if you heard this concert, but you can maybe listen to it afterwards. It was streamed, I guess. So the brown bracelet and this low rider are two of the main sound sources in the beginning of the piece. And then we have this piezo feedback. You can do feedback if you use all the three surfaces on the piezo discs. And this was also a tip from Nick Collins, actually. So there are a transistor and a couple of resistors, and then it's a piece of resistive rubber, which I used to get some change in the sound. And it's so this is a piece which it's on a CD. I play. We can listen to part of it. You have to hold it to some metal surface to get that sound, and then it's processed in Max also. I will say some words about Syntjuntan. It was a project started by me, Ann Rosén, and Ida Lundén in 2009. We wanted to help each other with instrument building and reach a new audience and get more people interested in electronic music. So it was a kind of mission we did. We developed this sewable chip. It's a 1493 chip, and had a lot of workshops with all kinds of people and all ages. And it was also often connected with a concert. And we wanted people to play on their instrument. They should go from the workshop with a working instrument, which we had a lot of. We have been ourselves to a lot of workshops where we came home with something that didn't work. So we wanted, it was very simple and easy, and it should work. And we wanted them to also play on their instruments. So we invited them often to our concerts to make a part of the concert or play during a specific time or a spot in the concert. So, but we got, after many years, we got a bit tired of doing these workshops. So we also did a lot of projects within Syntjuntan. And the most interesting thing was to get the time to examine different resistive materials. For me, that was very nice. I was very interested in resistive rubber. There is a very good shop outside Stockholm where you can go with your multimeter and and try different materials. And we also worked a lot with this resistive yarn in this ball. And then I tried to do, I found on the internet somebody had made a felted sensor with steel wool. I did many tries, but I didn't. You can use it as on and off, but this very to get a smooth curve of the resistance was not possible for me, but I've used them a lot anyway. And here was a project I made with, again, this artist Bengt Carling, who is an amazing person with a lot of ideas. And he makes a lot of jewelry with rubber. He used like old tires and stuff like that. And he made this jewelry for us, and I added the small synthesizers and the resistive material. We can listen to, no, now I have to. Jump a bit there. Yeah, you get the picture. It's several 4093 synthesizers, and Ida uses a contact microphone, and I have also made some bracelets with this Atari Punk console synth. So, and another project I made some years later with Anne in the archipelago. Called Warning for Siren. It was a funny project, and we didn't have any audience. It was filmed by Anne's husband, us in a boat. Yes, here I've been trying for a long time to control small motors, and this is an Arduino setup with different kind of motors from these old cell phones and some pager motors, and then these geisha balls, which I've used a lot, which I modified with a switch, so I can choose which of them to use. And we can listen to these geisha balls. This is actually a piece on from a CD called Tremor. And I've also tried to control them with the pulse width modulation with the 555 chip. This motors I worked with the Stockholm saxophone quartet, and they had the motors attached to their saxophones. And the motors was also used in this collaboration with the fantastic piano player Christine Scholz. And I just want to give an example of that. Oh. This collaboration led to another piece for Christina and her piano partner Mats Persson, and this was a very nice piece. They are so fantastic musicians, so I need to play a little bit from that as well. in the beginning here, it's a lot of freeze pedals, which I use a lot, and the styrofoam. It's very useful in many ways. This picture is actually mold, what was it called? A mold infestation in my flat. So it became the inspiration score for this piece. And then it's a instruction page also. And all this, my small motors and the geisha balls and everything, and e-bows, it contains a lot of my projects, earlier projects. And then they are so bright so they can do the piece themselves. Here's another collaboration with an old friend, Sören Runolf. We have been playing with this duo welfare orchestra for 25 years. And here we are in the woods at Lise-Lotte Company's scrapyard. And here we were doing feedback in these scrap objects and just bows and stuff. It's also a very nice collaboration. Here we are at a residency at Interface. It's an art project in Connemara, Ireland. And we were examining these transducers on different materials. Just play a little bit on that. When you don't have a fancy dome or are working, I don't know, it's quite hard to play, work with speaker setups when you are an independent artist, and you have to find different ways of doing this. So I've used a lot of transducers and also cheap wireless speakers. Especially I've used this in dance performances, and this is one example. This was a very nice project with Lise-Lotte Company in the tropical garden in Uppsala. It's a hot, steamy environment and not very suitable for installing expensive speakers. So I bought quite powerful Bluetooth speakers for this occasion, and I also used these transducers on the windows. And the sound material is a mix of recorded animals and electronic sounds. We can even hear a thermos in the first part. So let's see if I have it. jump a bit to the other room. Here was my spot. You can see the lot of moisture on the windows. And there was also a pilgrim frog that joined the concert, but unfortunately not on the recording. Another dance project where I used spatialization is this project for children. It's built on a book of Jimmy Lau from Taiwan, and just play a little bit.
Nice because half maybe I like the one that almost did that. Nice because half maybe I like the one that almost did that.
This was a nice project because we had a long period of workshopping, and we worked all together, the light designer and the video artist, and it became a very nice performance. So when I work with Max and multi-channel system, I usually use the matrix object to decide where the sound should come. And this was at the Acousmonium at IAC in Malmö. I played actually the piece You Are the Flower also in that Acousmonium. Now time is running, and I think I should just show you some instrument setups. Usually I don't want to carry a lot of stuff, so I make it very light. I bring light stuff, not even a mixer anymore. I have a small mixer here, and this was a big setup. It was for the Drum and Percussion Madness, which was streamed by Apple 33. A lot of motors, percussion, and other stuff. And I wanted also to show you some Max patch. Where do I have Max? I've used the same patches for a very long time. It started with two of them. It's a lot of sample playback in different ways, and then I developed this patch during 20 years or so. And the latest thing I added was to be able to change the sound setup or the sounds very fast. So that, oh, this is wrong. No. So when I get stuck, I usually improvise when I play solo. So if I get stuck, I can change very fast, and then I don't know what sound is coming out. So it's a good way to wake up from a from a sleepy position. Yes, I think if you have any questions, we should start with that now. Derek?
Thank you so much, Lise-Lotte. Let's give her a round of applause. It's a really a wonderful trajectory, a really wonderful collection of instruments, of pieces, and also of practices, of different ways of working and arriving at things. There was something that you said very early on in your presentation that became kind of a framework for me to look at the rest of the things that you showed us. And it was when you were talking about having to do the piece, or ZKM having to realize this piece afterwards. So let me try to reconstruct that thought really quickly here, which for me, it's when I was looking at everything that you were presenting, what I was seeing was that the musical works become very embodied physically in the objects that are used to create them. And in some ways, the design of those objects actually becomes kind of the score of the piece. It lays out the world of sonic possibilities that can be done in that particular piece. And that's very beautiful, and it's very specific to these objects. On the other hand, it's not very portable or universalizable. It's not a score that is easily shared with other musicians if they're not in direct contact with you. But for me, also a question is that necessary? And this, the specific thing that kind of triggered me was the fact that you have to actually keep a specific computer setup with a specific software setup that probably doesn't run on newer computers anymore, just for the realization of one particular piece, which is very interesting. It kind of connects with work that I've seen, for example, Miller Puckett doing, using PD patches to recreate old historical systems for the performance of electroacoustic works. So with that, I would like to, also my colleague Matthias Petersen is here, and if there are any questions, we can field comments and questions from the audience now. Here's your shot.
Thanks. This is not a technical question. It's a question about your artistic vision. So sorry for presenting such a question in this setting, but I noticed that there's often a discrepancy between the visual content and the auditory. Like the visual content is often humoristic and very funny, which I appreciate very much. And perhaps for the average audience, the merely auditory content is not so funny. I don't know, I didn't perceive it that way, but what I found really joyful was the contrast. I would like to ask if this was intentionally created so, or if you just simply perceive the audio as funny yourself.
The audio is funny. Yes, I usually find it funny myself. I think it's good if it's funny, but it's not always funny. It depends on the context.
So
For example, this collaboration at the Tropical Garden, it's very sensitive and it's very, now I had to add the sound afterwards, but because it wasn't possible to record it in a good way, but then it's very, very sensitive how loud you play and what you have to find exactly the right energy in the sound.
Thanks a lot. That is a lot of very funny examples. Thanks of those.
Other questions, comments before the lunch? Yes, Andre.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was listening to your piece yesterday, and subjectively, I mean, for me, I heard the sounds in the piece as having very physical, alive identities, kind of. And in that context, I wonder, what does it do for you when you kind of emphasized also that it's very special for you to work with dancers. So I don't know. Can you say a bit more about that? What is it that you find particularly interesting?
I appreciate a lot to work with dancers because it helps. Yeah. Usually we work together, and you get a feeling of what kind of energy the music shall have, and it's. I think it's easy. I was dancing a lot when I was young. Always. I wanted to become a dancer actually, but it became something else.
Good. We've got space for one or two more things if there are. Yes.
I have heard your piece yesterday, and it was a fixed media version of the sounds that you produced in the way you explained now. I'm curious, what was the process of the relation of the sounds to the overall formal structure of the piece?
Well, I first had to produce the sound material because I had nothing when I went to Karlsruhe. And so first I gathered the material, and then I started to work with spatialization. And depending on how the material is, you know, this very heavy sounds, it was a long part with the heavy sounds. They actually moved a bit. It moved much more here at the concert. That's yeah. I think the character of the sound give you the ideas of how it should move. So that's my answer, I think. Or was it an answer on your question?
Oh, that's fine. Thanks.
Yeah.
Last chance. No pressure. All right. If there are no further questions and comments, then we release you to the lunch. Please give another putting of the hands together. Lise-Lotte Norelius.
And also there is a concert now before you eat too much lunch. So go to the concert, then eat lunch, and then we're back.